The Secrets of Technology is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give. You're listening to The Secrets of Technology. Hi, I'm Dom Bettinelli, and you're listening to The Secrets of Technology, where we discuss the technology news that's important to you from a uniquely Catholic point of view. And joining me today on the panel are Jack Baruzzini. Hi, Jack.
Hey, Dom. How's it going?
Very well, thanks. And Thomas Sanjurjo. Hey, Thomas.
It's good to be here.
So the summer's over, fall is here, time for lots of tech news, finally, to have a lot of tech news on the discussion docket. And, of course, Apple had their announcements this week, and we're going to talk about what they announced. And then there's some other news, too, some big news, but we'll get to that in a bit. But first, I want to talk about the Apple announcements. And this is not the last we're going to hear from Apple this fall, I think. They didn't say anything about the iPhone. They didn't say anything about the Apple Silicon Macs or anything else that they've promised. That I think there's probably going to be at least 2 and maybe 3 more announcements this fall and into the winter. But this time it was just for hardware, Apple Watch and iPad. What did you guys think about the hardware announcements?
It seemed like an incremental update more than anything.
Yeah. It wasn't anything really super flashy, which is that's been them lately, though. I think they're still kind of taking a break after, Steve Jobs passed, and
for the past several years.
It's sort of it's
right.
been sort of chill.
Well, we haven't had another revolutionary product. Everything's been incremental, a little better every year. Faster CPUs, another sensor in the watch, that sort of thing. But no groundbreaking iPhones or watches or iPads.
I do like how they made a big deal out of their seamless watch band they have. Like that was a new thing that no one had ever done before.
I know. But
are they gonna patent it? Now that's the question.
Yeah.
Well, I was looking at it online. Like you've got to measure your wrist first because it's seamless. It has to be a certain size, like to start with, and so you have to measure your wrist and order based on your wrist width. And it's like, oh my gosh, that sounds like such a hassle. Like if we could go into stores, if that was a world we lived in now, you could just go in and try it on. Oh, this is the one I want. But we can't do that anymore. So now we have to download a piece of paper and cut it out and measure our wrist.
Well, and then there's the question, like when you measure your wrist, it's one thing to measure your wrist, but then is it going to be comfortable? Because there's a difference between, this is the size of my wrist, and this is what feels comfortable with the watch attached to it.
Right.
Yeah.
And they make sure it's snug but not tight. I'm like, okay,
what does that mean?
There's gonna be so many people who just get it wrong, and it's not gonna fit right. I do kind of like the look of the braided one. I do kind of like that, but I'll stick with my $10 Amazon specials. But
well, I like the fact that you can change the band if you want to, and that was something that always bothered me about my Fitbits was they had these they had stuff in the band that I was allergic to, and it would always it'd be fine wearing it around the house, but then when I would go run, which is the entire point of having a Fitbit, right, I would sweat and then it would irritate my skin, and so I'd have to take it off and have this rash for the next day that I was trying to fix.
Right.
So I like the fact that you can change it if you want to, and
easily. It's a pretty cool system that they've developed, better than like changing watch bands in the past. Sometimes you just take it to a jeweler and be done with it. I mean, it just was such a hassle. Now it's fairly easy to do. I do have to say though, Apple Watch bands are way overpriced. Like the new band is $100 for this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Again,
braid yourself some paracord. Dollar store paracord. Braid yourself some paracord. Strap it on.
Well, that's the thing is you can buy the special lugs that connect bands to your to watch, like so you can basically use any watch band if you got those little lugs. Or there are paracord Apple Watch bands on Amazon again for like $10. So yeah. Anyway, we'll move on from that. So they announced an Apple Watch Series 6 starts at $400. They also announced an Apple Watch SE, which starts at $279, which is apparently intended for kids, or people who just don't want as much from their watch. One of the things I noticed it doesn't have is the ECG. So it has fewer of the sensors and that sort of stuff. And then they still sell the Series 3 for $199. It's just like what they do when they sell like the iPhone 7 when they still have the iPhone 11 out. You know, that, or was it iPhone 8 now when they have the iPhone 11 out? You know, they keep one old model on hand so they can sell it really cheap, and that's what they're doing. So that's the watch. And we'll talk about the other aspects. There's a couple other aspects I think that might be really interesting to our audience, but we'll come back to those. One thing they announced is that they're not going to put a charger in the box for the environment. It'll save the equivalent of 50,000 cars on the road. 50,000 cars on the road a day. Oh, ever? Like it just
sounds big and fancy.
It's a meaningless metric.
Yeah. Well, and then honestly, if they're moving away from proprietary chargers,
right,
that's the thing that's going to save the environment, because the proprietary chargers are really where all the costs, it's like
right.
When I have to go out and buy a charger for my wife because she lost hers, and then I have to go out and buy a charger for myself, whereas we could just have one that we could trade off,
Well, I mean, I get the idea. Like, the idea is that everybody's got not just one charger. Everyone's got like 100 chargers now. I mean, I got charges flowing out of a box. I don't need any more charges. So just say that. Just say we're saving money by not shipping these out, and you don't need another one probably because you've got a half a dozen in your house right now. So we're not going to send them. We're not going to put them in the box. But hey, if you need one, just tell us. We'll throw one in. Just do something like that. I would respect that. This whole, it's for the environment, angelic, aren't we so awesome? Aren't we brave for doing this for the environment? I'm like, blah, just stop.
Yeah, it costs them nothing to make those at this point.
Right. It's just, I don't know. It was silly. I had to make fun of them for that. The other hardware they announced was some updates to their iPads. The base version, the iPad 8th generation now, it's got a faster CPU, same price, same old version of the pencil that plugs into the side and juts out at a 90-degree angle.
Does the pencil actually have pressure sensitivity?
Yeah. The original pencil did. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if it did. That was the thing that I've always been confused about that, and I really wouldn't want a stylus that's just super expensive stylus for your thing.
Yeah, you can actually use it to draw and stuff.
Yeah,
that's good.
The big difference is the way it charges. So like the new pencil, it magnetically attaches to the top, which is better. It doesn't stick out of the side of the only port, so you can't charge the iPad and your pencil at the same time. And you lose the cap because that's a pain in the neck. Because I had to buy something off of Amazon to keep the cap connected to the pencil. And then the other thing about it is the new pencil you can tap the side of it and activate a function, and you can usually determine what the function is. I use it for switch to erase, which is kind of very handy.
Yeah, that's not half bad actually.
Yeah. But this still uses the old pencil. It's got a slightly faster CPU. It's basically, this is the entry level. We've updated a little, same price. So boom, here you go. If you need an iPad, this is the basic iPad. And then the iPad Air is interesting because a couple things. It's got a new CPU, which now makes it faster than the iPad Pro, which is interesting. So that makes, do I get a Pro or a Air? A much more interesting decision. My guess is there's a faster Pro coming, so that will change. They've switched it to USB-C from Lightning, which the Pros have had, and Touch ID in the top button. So the iPad Air previous generation had Touch ID. It wasn't Face ID. It had Touch ID in the button on the face of the screen. There's no more button on the face of the iPad. The Pros did not have a button. They use Face ID. But this uses Touch ID in the top button, like what we call the power button. It's actually just a sleep-wake button. And that makes me think, given everyone has to wear a mask these days, maybe they're putting Touch ID in the button on an iPhone. That would be
nice.
Yeah, I would imagine they have to at this point because, having to take your mask off to unlock your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Having to type your password, especially
Right.
if you use good password practices, it's a pain in the neck. And I'm like, I'm at the cashier. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
And they've eliminated the number sign in, right?
Well, no,
or is that still an option?
You
can do
can
a PIN.
still do it.
Oh, okay. You can still do a PIN.
In fact, what you can do is you can set it to alphanumeric and then just do just numbers, which makes it more secure because when someone's trying to hack it, they know that the combination could be any letter or number, even if you've just got numbers. So you could still do a number code
That's
if
true.
you
That's
want
a good point.
And then like I think I mentioned USB-C and a bunch of colors, which who cares? But I mean, I suppose people care. So I don't care about colors. But so,
It's a nice design, and it looks like, based on the rumors for the new iPhone, that's going to be the same kind of design they're using for the iPhone, like that all aluminum back instead of the glass back.
Yeah, kind of go back to the iPhone 5, I think.
Right.
Yeah. I'm interested to see that there's nothing folding on here. Like folding seems to be the big thing right now,
Yeah.
and so Apple's decided, nope, we're not doing folding. You
Not
guys
yet.
go ahead and do folding.
Yeah.
We're not going to do it yet.
I think because the folding stuff I've seen out there, the Samsung, the Microsoft, the others, they're okay. They're still not
They're
great.
really not there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't think Apple's going to do anything folding until it can wow you, until you see it and you go, oh, I have to have that. Because they only do that, right?
Yeah,
They
that's
haven't
true.
done anything
That's true.
curved yet either, which a lot of companies have. Like Samsung has had the curved screen phones for years, and Apple still hasn't done that because
Around the edge.
it's a cool technology, but it doesn't really have any utility right now.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll tell you what I would like to see. I would like to see the clear see-through device. That's the
Like
one
from
that
the
Apple
Expanse?
needs to shoot for. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Every science fiction series has see-through whatever. Yes.
Yeah.
We'll see that, so to speak. Maybe we won't see that someday. Actually, what I want is I want to go all the way back to what was that Gene Roddenberry series ages ago? I think I've talked about it before, where it's a tube and you pull the screen out from the side, like sort of like the old film projector screens. Where you pull it down, so you pull the screen out from the side, and so it's a screen. It's a flexible screen, and it
And you
folds
got like
up
a
again.
scroll case.
Yeah, and it's just you hold like this round thing in your hand, and you pull it out. Yeah, I don't know.
Be a town
Like a
crier.
space wizard.
Yes. Hear ye. So that's the hardware. I want to talk about. I think what's most interesting for our audience is two things. First, let's talk about family setup. I saw this, I said, wow, this could be very interesting. So what is it? It lets you set up Apple Watch, either the SE or the Series 6. I'm pretty sure though it will only work with the new watches, which is meh. I kind of was like, oh, I could reuse my old watch for this, but no. It will let you set up a watch independent of an iPhone, so that you can give your kid the watch and it will have a bunch of functions that you can oversee. For example, if you give them one of the watches with a cellular connection in it, they can make phone calls to a limited set number of contacts that you determine, and that could eliminate the need to get your kid a phone. That's one of the things that's always bugged me is that need that, I have a 14-year-old and we're kind of at that point where she goes and does things. Does she need a phone? Like she has one of my old phones that doesn't have service, and she has some apps on it. And I'm like, should we get her a phone with service? This would eliminate that whole concern, and you're not giving them a computer with access to everything. This is just a watch that only calls or texts the people that you set it up to do, and it has GPS, so you can do Find My with it. It will do alerts if they go, when they arrive at a certain place, it will tell you. And then it's got some school-related functions, like you can put it in school mode. And they very specifically said so that a parent or teacher can see at a glance if the watch is still in school mode, and thus you can tell whether they're actually supposed to be working or not. So I thought that was kind of funny. So, the other thing it does is you can put cash on it, so you can transfer money to Apple Pay on the watch, and then they can use it to make purchases and stuff like that.
If the place accepts Apple Pay.
Which frankly, I mean, nowadays
most places do now.
Almost every place I go to does. So
yeah.
So what do you think?
Across the board.
Yeah. What do you think of this?
I think it's a cool idea. I don't know how many people are going to use it. I feel like the people who are going to be buying their kids a iWatch are probably going to be getting them an iPhone, or they'll already have an iPhone.
Mm-hmm. It's something that I'm considering. Like you're saying, we have a 15-year-old who's kind of going places now. She's interested in being able to communicate with her friends. She has a little bit more independence than her younger siblings. It's actually, having experienced Google's version of the family setup for some of our devices, I like it. I think it's a really comfortable idea. It fits what I want her to be able to do with a device like this, and it limits a lot of the problems that you're having, where there is an internet accessible device that the siblings can pick up because she's wearing it on her wrist. It's kind of an always with her kind of thing.
And when you look at the expense, like, but you're spending, like, how much is let's see this, cellular, you're spending $329 on this watch. Well, okay. An iPhone is a lot more. So there's that. But how much is an additional phone on your phone plan? It's more than the $10, which is what
it's
this is.
Usually like 30 or 40 all said and done when you're paying for the phone and the additional data and everything. Right.
This is an extra $10 a month, so you're kind of saving it on the other end, So
yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I got 5 kids. Thomas, you got what? What are you up to now? 8
now.
I mean, you're not going to get the baby a phone, a watch, or a phone, but this is for a certain demographic. It's a very interesting idea. What's the demographic of people who can afford these devices for their kids, but aren't just going to throw a phone at them? That's the demographic that this is for.
Well, and I think the school mode thing is probably the thing that's going to push it over that edge for a lot of people, because I know at our school we don't allow the kids to have phones. We're very strict about the smart devices like the watches and things like that, but this kind of thing might be something that we would allow as long as you could see that it was visibly in that mode.
Yeah, that's true. Like, you wouldn't have to make them take it off, and it's a very granular do not disturb mode, essentially,
right?
Where they won't get messages and they won't be able to send messages and that sort of thing. So yeah, that is very interesting. I wonder if you'll be able to set it by location, so that when they're at school, but during these hours, it's in a do not disturb mode. Maybe. I don't know.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Or that there's an override. They can override it if they need to.
Right.
For whatever reason. Or whatever.
Right.
And it's a lot harder to lose something that's strapped to your wrist than it is a phone in your pocket.
Or drop it. And
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean,
have your brother step on it. Yeah, that's
you don't have to worry about that.
Big seller.
Because I'm a paranoid dad. I'm like, what if she's kidnapped and someone takes her phone from her? Because when I was a kid, no one had phones, but it's what you think about now, but with the watch, it's, I don't know. All right. So family setup, it's very interesting. I'd like to see more. Wait till I'm kind of reserving judgment till it comes out and we can actually see some people have it in use and that sort of thing.
I will say it's really interesting to watch the ways that different companies handle the family setup. So we have a Nintendo Switch, and I have the Nintendo parenting device on my phone. Very different approach than the Google family setup, but I can see why they've done it the way they have, but at the same time, because there's no controls. I can't say my kids only play, like it's an all or nothing. Like I can't go, well, this kid's older, so he gets a little more time or anything like that. They can't play more than this amount of time for all of them. Like, so there's 1 hour of play for the whole day. And it's like, well, that kind of stinks. I don't want to limit them all to 1 hour a day together. But then, with the family for Google, it was very granular. Like you could do each individual kid. So I'd really like to see what the interface is like on this and what kind of options they're offering to parents per kid.
Given Apple's screen time preferences, I've been struggling with that because we have an iPad that they all share. And I have it set up to no more than an hour of game per day. I had it at 30 minutes. That was driving me nuts because they each get, after they've completed their schoolwork, they get 20 minutes on the iPad and they want to play the games. And there's 5 of them, so that's more than an hour. And so it was like I had it set to a half hour, and then a half hour would go by, and then I'd be getting interrupted. Which this is actually pretty good. I get an interruption. It says, "Can I have it just under my son's name because that's just you have to have somebody's name on it? Can Benedict's iPad do play Sneaky Sasquatch? Will you approve?" I'm like, oh, okay, 15 minutes, boom, and then 15 minutes go by, and it's like they want to play Frogger. Wait. Who's on the iPad now? Is your turn over? And it's just like, I just wanted to have like, instead it's 15 minutes an hour all day. It's like, let me say 20 minutes, boom, just 20 minutes and then the device shuts off. Like, just like do that. I wish I could do that. I can't. Or something that people have been asking for iPads from the beginning, which is multiple users.
Yeah,
right? One person logs out.
That's really what they need to put on there.
That's what would be the thing.
Well, that's what this would help kind of start that conversation, because if you've got a family, you may have more than just one kid. Maybe you need multiple users and the ability to kind of have them sign out as themselves and somebody else sign in and get their time.
Right. Yeah, that would be. I don't think people at Apple have like more than 2 kids, and they all get free stuff anyway. They all get free iPads, so
yeah, they're not thinking about it.
They need a focus group with us, people with lots of kids.
Right.
All right, so let's talk about Apple One, and I'll bring up Fitness Plus with that because I don't know. If you look at me, I'm not a Fitness Plus customer, but maybe I should be. But so Apple One is the subscription bundle. And I've been hearing a lot of talk about this. People have been predicting this. And I got to say, they came in about the right prices for this. I've done the math. So for example, there's an individual plan, there's a family plan, and then something they call Premier. All of the plans have iCloud storage, Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, Apple Arcade, and then different amounts of iCloud. So individual gets 50 gigabytes of iCloud. The family plan gets 200 that can be shared with 5 people, and the Premier gets 2 terabytes plus News Plus and Fitness Plus, and that can be shared with 5 people. So I was looking at what I'm spending. So because of who I am and because I have a bunch of devices, I've been on the 2 terabyte iCloud plan for a while. I've got a bunch of iCloud, the iPhoto photos and backups and all this sort of stuff, and you jump from 200 gigabytes to 2 terabytes. If I could have done a 1 terabyte, I would have, but there wasn't. So that's $10 a month. Apple Music family plan, that's $15 a month. Right there, it's $25. I mean, that, I'm within $5 of the Premier right there. So Apple Arcade, that's another $5, and that puts me right at the number. Apple TV Plus, well, I've had that for free for the year because I bought a new iPhone last year, so I got it for free. Who knows if they're still gonna do if you buy an Apple device, you get it for free for a year. But if they don't, I'm either saving $5 or as of what I get today, scratch. I'm at even, and then for nothing, I can throw in News Plus and Fitness Plus, and frankly, News Plus never really attracted me all that much. All the magazines, basically you get magazines and access to some extra news content. It was never enough to really pull me in. And Fitness Plus, which looks interesting, I suppose. Maybe I'll start using it.
Does it work with your Apple Watch, though? See, there you go.
Yes.
Now you're going to tie it together with your Apple Watch, and you're good to go.
It works with Apple Watch and Apple TV and your iPad and your iPhone. So what do you guys think of this? Does this look like a good deal? Is this the sort of thing that people will want? I mean, they've been onesie-twosying us for a long time. So this is kind of puts it all under one bundle.
I'm paying half that for just Disney Plus, right? So, it's not a bad deal. Like you're talking about 2 terabytes of storage, which is something that it's not to sneeze at. 2 terabytes of storage is a lot. You're not gonna burn through that real fast. Access to all the music you want. Their TV Plus really hasn't sold me yet, but that's not to say that the other stuff isn't worth it, and then having the TV Plus on top of it would be great. But yeah, I mean, it's really not a bad deal at all.
I mean, I think especially the family plan is the one I was looking at, because all I have to do is cancel my Amazon Music and then sign up for that, and I'm still paying less than I am doing that and iCloud on its own.
Mm-hmm. Right. Like, if I look at competing services, like if I get 2 terabytes from Dropbox, that's at least $10 a month. And then what is Spotify's? See, Spotify family is 6 people, and let's see, what's that? I'm trying to see. They don't make it easy to find out what it actually is. What's that?
Last I looked, it was like 15, I think.
Yeah, I think it's
probably
15.
probably about the same. Yeah, so same amount of money. Apple TV Plus, like, there's a few things I like. I like For All Mankind on there. I like Ted Lasso. That's actually been really good, I have to say. And then what was the video game one? Raven's Quest, Mythic Quest.
Oh yeah,
that's really funny, I have to say. Between those 3 and Greyhound, that's about all I've watched on Apple TV Plus this past year. Maybe it'll start getting better. Who knows? But if it's part of the bundle, I'll take it. And then Apple Arcade, the kids of the games there, it's great because there's zero cost to try a game, and there's no in-game purchasing. Oh, that's so much better. There's no freemium model.
And you still have the vetted environment of Apple games, which is really important. And I think that is not something to let just kind of slide, because they do a really good job of vetting the apps that come through, especially the arcade. They're
all really good games in arcade. I mean, some of them aren't to my taste, but you can't deny that they're pretty much all really well made, well done, and they're not shovelware where it's just like we're copying. It's a bad copy of Angry Birds or something. You know what I mean? It's just another really stupid, game that's just designed to get you to download it so they show you the ads. Like there's nothing like that in there. All right, so I think we all agree that the Apple One, if you're an Apple family and you're in all the Apple services, it's a good deal. And if you are an Apple user who's using other services like Amazon or Spotify or Dropbox or what are these other things, maybe this is enough to bring you in. I am not canceling Disney Plus though.
No. All right, yeah, don't. But well, see, this is the era that we've been talking about, right? Where you don't have to pay for the cable service anymore. You pay for the channels that you want. So it's Netflix, Disney Plus, and Apple TV now. And and I'll be honest with you though, like my wife has an older generation phone, and she has been butting up against the cloud device limit for long enough that $15 for getting iCloud, music, TV Plus, and Arcade Plus, and 50 gigs for her to stop having the problems that she's having with her phone is really not even in the bounds of unfeasible. That's that's something I can take to her and say, hey, for $15 a month we can get all of this stuff. You want to do it? And she'll be like, oh yeah, definitely.
$15 to make my wife happy. I'll pay that.
Yeah, exactly. Done.
I was gonna say, you can take my Disney Plus and my new Baby Yoda show from my cold dead hands.
Yes. No.
All right. So that's the announcements. Anything else? I mentioned the Fitness Plus. It works with your Apple Watch, shows your workout on screen on your iPad or iPhone or Apple TV, and they have trainers, and they have the whole family gets to do it if you have the Premier or family plans. It works with Apple Music so that you can do your exercises to whatever music you choose, whatever genre. You can do your yoga to country music if you like, death metal yoga. I mean, this probably very attractive to some people. It's just not in my wheelhouse at the moment. All right. Is there anything else we need to say about the Apple announcement?
I don't think so.
Looking forward to the next one. We'll see what they got for phones. The last bit that they mentioned was that today they've released, as we record this is the day after the announcement, iOS 14, iPad OS 14, Watch OS 7, TV OS 14, no Big Sur for the Mac, That's on hold probably till the Apple Silicon announcement.
Mm-hmm.
But all that came out today. I was running the iPad OS 14 beta all summer, and so that's nothing real new there for me. I did install the iOS 14 on my iPhone like an hour. It finally dropped to like an hour before we started recording, but so it's finally on there.
It does something that I've wanted iPhones to do for forever, which is you can now use the YouTube app while you're using other apps and keep the video playing. That's like the number one thing I was excited about.
And I can put widgets on my home screen.
See, Android used to do the YouTube thing, and then they stopped. And I'm like,
why? They did?
Why?
Google, you own it.
I know, right? Make this work.
Yes, it is really cool. The thing with these big upgrades is there's all these new features, and I have to admit, it seems very exciting when they announce it, but then integrating, like actually using that on a day-to-day basis is I got to like you remember. I've got to
just post-it notes, like old school post-it notes on your phone. Remember to
do this thing. Like you have to kind of start doing it on purpose and intentionally in order to make it part of your daily life, and that's the trick. The Apple Translate app works really well. I checked it. It was very impressive. Nice. What was the other thing I was going to mention? The widgets. I did the widgets. I've turned off a couple of pages of apps on my phone so that I don't have to look at them, all these folders. I can just go to the app library and search, which is what I do anyway. I always just search for the apps anyway. So it's very interesting to see. I may have an experiment where I have an all widget home screen. We'll see. I'm kind of hoping that some of these developers will make widgets of their own for the home screen. There's just right now it's just Apple widgets that you can put on your home screen. So we'll have to see. All right, enough about that. Let's move on.
Welcome to the world of widgets.
Yes. Let's move on to our other headlines this week and talk about this one. The first one, Nvidia is acquiring ARM for $40 billion. And they say it's all about the AI. So, Thomas, what's your take on this? Because I know you're dying to talk about this.
Oh, man, yeah, I'm dying to talk about this. So Nvidia just announced their new graphics card the other day, and the first thing I had to say to one of my buddies who was super excited about it was, "Oh, so it's like a Bitcoin miner plus, right?" And because honestly, that is, and everybody dances around this subject when they talk about Nvidia, but really, that's what has made Nvidia so much money is the fact that you can string together a whole bunch of their GPUs and just mine Bitcoins until kingdom come. And and the thing that I like that they're talking about here is that they're talking about this acquisition as being environmentally friendly because it's going to allow them to optimize the ARM chips for lower electricity use. So they're going to be able to do all this stuff that they're doing, all these super high crunch calculations, but they're going to be able to do it and use less electricity, and that is phenomenal. That's really something that I think is going to be good. And I know that AI is like, super awesome right now, but honestly, the thing that's really going to win here is the fact that they're going to be able to make these lower energy requiring devices. So they're not going to have 6 fans and a briefcase size GPU coming out.
It's going to be cool to see what they can do in the coming years now that they've eliminated having to communicate as separate companies.
So one of the things I think it's important to convey is that if you're over the age of about 35 or 40, you have an idea and you've been aware of technology or computers for a while. You have an idea of what makes a computer. A computer is the CPU, right? Well, that's not as true anymore, right? I mean, a CPU is still important, and a GPU is like the graphics card isn't really just a graphics card anymore either. These GPUs do a whole lot more than graphics. And then you have all these specialty chips that are on boards now. And I mean, this is what Apple has been talking about. We talk about Apple still, but there's all these specialty chips that let them do like neural engine and all these other stuff. So this is really a merger of a CPU company and a GPU company who were both kind of in the same realm, right? It's kind of hard for me to put that together.
More or less.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the best way to think about ARM is that they're like a blueprint company more than actually producing chips. They made the design
Okay.
for chips for other companies. And so they would put together like, okay, here's how you make this particular chip that's going to, because, and this is to roll it way back. Remember that all that a CPU is a series of circuits, and it's made on a very, very, very tiny scale. And if you guys who are listening, if you don't know this, the only difference between a good CPU and a bad CPU, so if you get an Intel processor, the only difference between a really high gigahertz processor and a lower gigahertz processor is how good it was when it came off the line.
Right.
So literally, it's the exact same thing. It's just that this one was perfect and it's really fast, and this one was maybe a little bit not so perfect, but it gets this benchmark rating. So what ARM did was design those chips so that they could get that super high speed without having as many flaws when they would come off the line. And they've really reached a bottom end on those, because there's only so small you can make something before the gap between the circuitry is too small to actually pass an electric current without jumping from one to the other. And so ARM's getting down to that very, very low level, which is why quantum computing is the next big thing. But Nvidia is a company that uses those series of those GPU or CPUs, the chips that ARM designs, in very, very creative ways. And so it's a really interesting thing to see that Nvidia has kind of gone back and bought the blueprint portion of its hardware components.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be interesting to see what companies like Apple and Samsung and Microsoft do, because a lot of them, for their mobile devices, they use ARM architecture. And now that ARM is owned by a competitor, basically, it's interesting to see if they move in a different direction.
Apple is also not just mobile now. I mean, the Apple Silicon is based on ARM architecture too. The new Macs. So, but they license the technology, but they're not using chips designed by ARM. In that case, I think both Samsung and Apple are designing their own chips in house based on the ARM architecture the ARM technology that they've licensed.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, well, how long do those licenses last? And what are the agreements that they've negotiated? So,
well, and then who do they turn to other than that? Because ARM really is the main research driver for chips and for making those smaller. If you are a materials person, that's kind of where if you want to do chips and you're a materials scientist, ARM's the big dog. And then the other interesting thing is, like, they talk a little bit in the article about the fact that this is a British company that's been acquired by a not British company, and what that's going to mean for the global acquisition of this whole system moving forward.
Although, wasn't ARM owned by SoftBank previously? Yeah, it was. So, and SoftBank, is that a British company? It's a giant holding company.
Yeah.
But let's see. I think SoftBank was Japanese already. Yeah.
Oh, maybe. Okay.
Yeah. But you're right.
That's not as bad.
Yeah. So ARM was still semi-independent as a part of the conglomerate called SoftBank, but it was still a British company. So the question is, as now as part of Oracle, does it retain its independence, or does it get subsumed inside it and become part of Nvidia, an American company? So that's an interesting question. So we'll see. It remains to be seen. Well, there should be some interesting things coming out of that. Like you said, we'll be looking forward to seeing what Nvidia comes up with based on this in coming years. It'll be years, but in the future. All right, let's talk about this other one, which is another big tech story. Oracle has, quote unquote, acquired, done something with TikTok.
They've given them a thumbs up, basically.
yeah. They are now a trusted tech partner of TikTok's U.S. operations, which is effectively no change from the way the company operates as it is. But yet, for some reason, this will satisfy the Trump administration's order that the Chinese parent company ByteDance spin off or get rid of the American operations and as independent from them because they're a Chinese company. So what do you think of this? What's going on here? Is this just smoke and mirrors?
More or less, it seems like it. Yeah, they didn't even really announce any sort of details as to what this partnership really entails, other than they're going to be hosting. But they don't even go into details about what they're going to be hosting.
I love Microsoft's response.
Oh, it's awesome.
We would have done these things. Yeah. We look forward to seeing what Oracle's going to do. Right? It's like,
yeah, it's very snarky.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. Oracle doesn't have a good history with acquiring things, though, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Java was very much, they were supposed to maintain Java as an open system, and they closed it down hard.
Yeah.
Now, what does that say about TikTok? I don't know. I think the whole idea was that we wanted more transparency in what TikTok was doing and where the data was going. And now a company that's notorious for closing down code is partnering with them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It sounds like a lot of politics are involved. Larry Ellison's politics are part of this.
Yeah. I guess TikTok or Java is used in a lot of government applications, and so Oracle has a relationship with the U.S. government, so they can kind of be like, hey, we think it's okay, and so that'll be good enough for them, I guess.
Yeah. But they've a social network. It's something that they haven't done before.
Yeah.
And again, they're not, TikTok is still being run by the same people and still has the same relationships with all these other variants. And as the Verge article says, they're still the same as Korean TikTok and Nigerian TikTok and, all the other TikToks around the world. So it's just getting an extra babysitter, it says.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is accurate. I think that that's kind of what's going on, is that we just have a new player kind of standing in between it. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah. The king is dead. Long live the king.
Long live the king.
Yep.
I'm still not going to install TikTok on my phone.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, no.
All right. So our next headline is about Amazon. Let's go through all the big companies. So this is interesting. CNN has done some investigative reporting on Amazon Basic. So if you shop at Amazon at all, you know that Amazon has its own line of sort of generic products. The house brand is Amazon Basic, from everything from toilet seat covers to computer monitors, like everything, appliances even. And what they found, CNN found, was that dozens of Amazon Basic products have been reported as dangerous. The headline says melting, exploding, or even bursting into flames, and a lot of them are still being sold.
I mean, Amazon has had a huge problem, especially lately, with their supply chain. So this honestly doesn't surprise me. I think these things are just, they're no-name cheapo products sourced from wherever, and then they just slap an Amazon logo on them. But they've even had this issue with things like toothpaste, where you get a big bulk box and they just put it all in that same box. And then so if you buy Colgate toothpaste off of Amazon, they're just pulling it out of a big bin from whatever seller. And then you don't know if you're getting a counterfeit or not. And so they've had this problem with products beyond electronics. So it doesn't really surprise me that they're having the same thing going on with their Amazon Basics electronics.
Right.
No, it surprises me less, actually. Knowing that, electronics is not something that you can just, we have history of it being produced cheap, but still.
Well, and the thing to keep in mind is these, say, let's talk about the phone charging cords. They're probably no worse than the phone charging cords that you can buy at your local convenience mart, CVS in front of the checkout counter, that sort of thing. They're cheap.
The dollar store. You can buy them at the dollar store.
Right. They're cheaply made. They're probably the same exact cords being made in the same exact factory and the same exact non-standards. So I'm not surprised with that. You get what you pay for with certain products.
Right. I guess the main thing is just you see the name Amazon, so you're going to trust it more, and that's what they're going for.
I think so. I've done that. I said, I don't know what these foreign names or just names that just are these bizarre combinations of letters that are random, and I'm like, but I know what Amazon is, so I'm going to buy the Amazon one. I've done it. I mean, as much as I think I'm a smart consumer, but when it comes to a cord, it's like a cable. I'll just buy this cable. No. Anchor cables. I'm buying name brand. They're less expensive. They're good quality.
Yeah. I got one of their Bluetooth speakers, the Amazon Basics ones, a while ago, and it worked for 6 months, and then it just died.
Right.
So, and it never caught on fire, but great.
Not that you know.
That song is hot. or a microwave oven bursting into flames. Some of those videos, or people talking about plugging stuff into their car and it catching on fire and the car filling with smoke while they're driving. Like, that could be.
There is some merit to buying things American. And I'm not huge on the everything needs to be American bandwagon,
right.
But there are a lot of things that are a lot of safety measures that are put in place in the United States that make things that are made here more expensive, yes, but better base quality.
Right. This is true.
With less fire.
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes it's better. You're better off paying a little more for something that has a name that you trust and that's been tested by independent, UL Labs and Consumer Reports and others. Like the ones that really scare me are the surge protectors. And in fact, even name brand surge protectors, I replace those every 3 to 5 years. Like even if I haven't had any problem with it, you're out of here. Like it's just. I just don't trust them. There's too if one just goes wrong, overheats and catches on fire in the middle of the night, there goes the house. So like there's certain things that I'm willing to pay a little more for in order to feel better about it. And like I'm not going to buy an Amazon Basic surge protector or or hardly anything anymore. I mean, I'll buy Amazon Basics. Not toothpaste because you put that in your mouth, but
not toothpaste anymore, right?
But towels or something. I'm not gonna, if they're cheap towels, they're cheap towels. But I'm not gonna buy anything that is potentially dangerous that has electricity that flows through it. Let's put it that way,
right?
Yeah. Or even like batteries. Like they have Amazon Basics like AA batteries. I wouldn't buy those either.
Well, a few weeks ago, and so I have to retract a pick. I think I mentioned an Amazon Basics UPS that was the uninterruptible power supply that I saw on the site. I think Pat had picked APC, and I meant, Amazon Basics has one too. It's a little less expensive. I'm retracting that. Don't buy. I don't think you should buy that. I in fact purchased an APC uninterruptible power supply.
That is a good name to go with.
Yeah. When I was filling out the registration, it said, "Where did you hear about us?" I'm like, it's been so long. I couldn't tell you. You have a long reputation as a good quality product.
I'll give another recommendation for them. We get hit by lightning where the school that I'm at, we get hit by lightning all the time. Every weekend, almost every weekend, we're hit by lightning.
Wow.
And we have ABCs and they last for a good while and they save our equipment more times than I can count. So
that's good. Yeah. I decided, one of the things we have problems with here is in the winter, I sometimes run a space heater in my office here with all my computer equipment because this office is just the heater's on the other side. Anyway, I'm on the same circuit here in this office as our washer, and when it goes into the spin cycle and the heater's on at the same time, everything goes off. And it's happened often enough where I have we have a system where I put a sign on when the heater is on, I put a sign on the washer. Turn off the heater, before turning on the washer. Anyway, but it's happened often enough where I've gotten a UPS so that I can safely shut down my computer. So if I'm in the middle of an edit, or if I'm in the middle of a podcast, there's too much equipment and I would lose too much stuff to even keep going. But at least because you still got to shut down, it doesn't last forever. I couldn't finish out the podcast. So, but anyway. It would give me time to shut down my computer safely and not lose anything and not cause too much trouble. A UPS is a really good idea, folks. All right, let's wrap up the headlines there, and let's move on to our picks of the week. Jack, what's your pick this week?
So keeping with the Apple theme from the top of the show, I'm going to say that if you're looking at buying an Apple product, but you don't necessarily care about getting the brand new latest thing, you can always go through the certified refurbished page on Apple, and you can save like $200 to $500 sometimes, depending on what it is. That's honestly the only way I've ever bought an Apple product. Yes. And they vet them, and it's like new. You don't get it in the new box, but you get all the cables, and you used to get the charger. I guess not anymore, but So, and I've never had an issue with that.
you could if you went there right now, you could get they say refurbed. These are essentially factory new. And in fact, they might be better than factory new because they've been gone over by a technician. They've been returned and a technician has sat down and individually gone through this thing to make sure it works great. And it comes with Apple Care. But like you could go there right now and get an iPhone XS 256 gig for $829 unlocked, save $220. Or get an iPad, save $80. There's an iPad Pro, save $240. So it's a good deal. So the way to find it is, I'll put a link in the show notes, but the easiest way is go to apple.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and under the Apple Store column at the base of the page, you'll see refurbished and clearance. It won't have everything. You'll have to sometimes maybe pay, come back once in a while to find if you're looking for something in particular. That's a good.
They got a lot on there, so it's nice.
Yeah.
And as long as you don't want the most recent device, you're usually good.
Although if you wait, like if they make an announcement and when they ship, if you wait like a month or two after they started shipping, they start to show up there again. So
yeah,
that's true.
All right, great, excellent pick, Thomas. What's your pick this week?
So my pick this week is a website that's pretty useful if you have kids that are interested in science, or if you are interested in science but don't have the time to wade through a whole bunch of really dense papers about it. You see something on the news and you're like, oh, that sounds interesting. It's called livescience.com, and it reads at about a 9th grade level. So you're talking about a newspaper, USA Today style reading. So it's not really dense reading, but it kind of breaks down the headlines. Sometimes they get a little, clickbaity with the titles, but they're really not bad. They're not like obscenely clickbaity or anything like that. But they do a really good job of kind of just boiling it down to a 1-page review of what the important points are. And you can go through, whatever type of science you're interested in, biology, astronomy, whatever, and just grab a headline from there, and it's been condensed down to kind of a Cliff's Notes version that's worth reading just to know about and be able to go and see more if you want to, but just to get the idea of what was going on. Yeah,
that's cool. I'm looking at it now. I've seen it. In fact, Jimmy Akin has used some of those headlines for Mysterious Headlines on his show. It's a good, reliable, quality website. That's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Use that one a lot.
Excellent. Well, my pick this week is an app for iPhone or Android from Amazon called Rapid Ring. Now, if you are a Ring owner, you have a Ring doorbell or Ring cameras, one of the things you've noticed is when you get the notification, one of the annoyances is that when you hit the button, show me the person at the front door, show me what's going on in the backyard, it takes forever for the app to launch and to actually show you what's going on. And very often, like, the person is gone by the time it comes up. It's like, that's really annoying. So what they've done is they've come up with an app called Rapid Ring, and all it does is show the video feed from the camera. See, the main app has to provide all kinds of functionality, has to help you, configure the system and can do all these controls and your account and all this other stuff that is going on in the background. So they've come up with this app that does just the one thing and does it faster, and it is faster. It's actually really good. It's not perfect, but that might be just a function of my Wi-Fi network or something like that. I've liked it. It's been much better experience since I've gotten it. So Rapid Ring, I'll put a link in the show notes. It's on the various app stores. So check it out. All right. I think that should do it for us. We do want to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Technology, including Chucks E., Anthony V., Maria F., Bernard F., and Peter V. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Technology and all the shows at StarQuest. You can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. And so that's it from us. What did you think of our discussion? You can let us know by commenting on the show at sqpn.com/technology, or the SQPN Facebook page, facebook.com/StarQuest Media, or send an email to technology@sqpn.com. And I'll put links from all of our discussion and our picks of the week on our show notes at sqpn.com. Hey, if you could do me a big favor, we haven't gotten a review in Apple Podcasts in a while. We've gotten some really nice ones, but if you could go as soon as you can to Apple Podcasts, maybe go right now if you get a minute, or one of the other podcast directories, wherever you get your podcast from, and write a review. Reviews are the number one way that our podcasts get in front of people on the podcast directories. The only better way of spreading the news about a podcast is to share it directly with friends. Help us grow this community. I've been so gratified hearing the very nice things I've been hearing from listeners who just want to say, hey, I enjoyed your podcast. It was helpful. It gave me some good information. It made a difference in my life. Help us continue to do that by sharing the podcast. So until next time, Thomas Sanjurjo, thank you for joining me in sharing the secrets of technology.
It's been great.
Jack Baruzzini, thank you as well.
Thanks, Tom.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Technology on StarQuest.